Welcome to the Perspective Podcast, where we embrace open dialogue from different perspectives about entrepreneurship, relationships, and education.
And this open dialogue is needed, especially today, as we live in a Twitter finger society where everyone seems to care more about getting their point across than they are about hearing the other person's perspective.
If you're ready to grow your business, your relationships, and your personal development, stick with us here at the Perspective Podcast, because sometimes in life, to get to the next level, you just need a different perspective.
If I look like what I've been through, I'd be roadkill. Tell me off of the pavement, I'm reeking from the...
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Mouzon. Got T here with me. Say what's up, T.
What's going on, family?
Guys, we are
a little something different. I'm gonna start doing it. Ping, ping, ping.
Again, with this video component, we can do so much more now, right? We can add in all types of stuff. But thank you for everybody that's listening, been checking us out. We always appreciate you guys. Again, feel free to share this podcast, continue to like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, since we're doing this video component now, we want you to be able to see our faces and see what it is that, because expressions and body language and all that type of stuff, it all goes in. So yeah. Definitely subscribe to the YouTube, share with a friend, because again, we want to get this perspective out to everyone, so that again, the premise of the show is giving you two different sides, or giving you different sides of a topic, because there's really no right or wrong. There's just, can you understand? Do you have empathy about the other person's side? And can you get clarity to see that other people can think a different way, but still get to, their own end result? And so we just want to continue to give you those perspectives. Today, we're talking about something that's important, should be important to all of us, right? Should. We use that word should. But we are, T and I are both on our own journeys in this space. So we figured, hey, let's start talking about it a bit more, even though we're not fully where we want to be. We're going down the path, and I'm sure many of you are as well. So today we're going to talk about health. We're going to talk about our health journey and what that means. The reason why we even call it a health journey, right? Like just kind of starting off on this topic, understanding that life is not just about dieting and like cutting this out and right, not doing this and not doing that. It's really about the journey. It's really about the process and what you're doing long term in a lot of different areas. Health being one of the most important, if not the most important, because we only get one body. We only get we only get one life. So we have to treat our body properly. And oftentimes we're not treating it the best. We're not adding the fuels and feeding it the things that are needed in order to have longevity. Think about all the people that are, T, I'm sure you see it in our families, in our communities, like, you get to the 50s and 60s, generally you're just not healthy. Like,
people's bodies is breaking down.
Like, arthritis breaking down, but like internally breaking down. High blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, cholesterol, like all of the things that come into play. And if we want to live this type of life where we get to, the people that we want to become, we gotta pay attention to our health. So T, talk to us about, kind of your thoughts on this health journey and what you've been going through.
Yeah, man, this has been an ongoing topic for me for years. So I'm like the yo-yo guy. Like, I'm like, all right, I'm in it. Yay. Then it's like, yay. Right. It's just roller coaster.
Why do you think that is? Let me stop you there. Why do you think that, because that's common for a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of people listening. Yeah. It's very common.
I used to think that, and when I say used to, I'm talking like more recent, but like until like this past like 30 days or so. But I used to think it was contingent predominantly on how motivated I was. right? Like, like, oh, all right, I'm motivated to go do this now. Or should I say it was contingent upon how motivated I was. And then the problem is sustaining that level of motivation when it's 10 degrees outside, or you just had a long day, or, your family pissed you off, or, or X, Y, and Z. It's extremely difficult to maintain that level of motivation to then go put your body through hell for 30 to 45 minutes or an hour, whatever it is you work out, right? Or for me, so that's one side of it on the working out, but that one's a little bit easier because I find some joy in working out, right? I can just go play basketball, right? Or I can kind of lose myself in some of the workouts. However, I found out also that I was a emotional eater. I use food for pleasure, not for substance, right? And so I realized whenever I was getting stressed, I would say, I need a win. Like that's like my internal clock. Like I need to get a win right now. And the win was easy. It was right at McDonald's, right? It was food. It was right at McDonald's. It was like, all right, we're going to go out, we're going to eat, and we're going to have a great meal, and we're going to go get some crab legs, or we're going to go get a ribeye, or we're going to go if you look at our budget, if there's expenditures, it's like a bill, food, bill, food, some savings.
It's most people, man.
It's real. And so dealing with stress and eating with stress, which also messes with your finances, but that's a different conversation. Right? Like it's like financial health. Yeah. And then you're covering stress with food, and then you're trying to use simply motivation to get you out and moving. It was a recipe for disaster. And so I kept going in this cycle of round and round and round we go, round and round and round we go. And then you get frustrated because you keep finding yourself right back at the weight that you thought you lost. You're like, oh no, I just lost these 7 pounds. And then it's like back there again. Then it gets demotivating, and then it's less motivation. And then it's just it's a spiraling cycle, man. And it sucks. It really does. It's been honestly, like real talk. I'm sorry. It's probably been one of the top 3 most frustrating things in my life in the last 10 years, like easily.
I agree. I think it is. I think it could be top 3 for me as well. Definitely. And I think, again, a lot of people listening, it's probably top 3 for them, partially because I really and this is what I'm learning in my health journey, not to jump kind of down our conversation, but like I've learned that we just have the wrong information.
Yeah.
We just have the wrong information. That's actually why this thing continues to frustrate us, because, right, it's doing the same thing over, right? Definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Yeah.
We have the wrong information. Again, we could parallel this to a financial conversation. We're not, but it's the same thing, right? When you find yourself going in the same financial habits, having the same amount, having the doodads pop up constantly, right? It's because it's an information thing and the way that we're utilizing that money. Same thing with our health. What you said about being an emotional eater, I didn't realize I was one, right? Until it actually started happening. And it wasn't, sometimes we hear that term, oh, I'm an emotional eater. And we're thinking like,
oh, I'm so sad.
Exactly. I'm sad. Let me get a pint of ice cream. Exactly.
Like right? The Professor Clump, exactly. Right? Like, he was watching the dude on TV.
Exactly. It's how we pose, and we think of that in our mind of like, oh, well, when I'm sad, then I'll go get a pint of ice cream and I'll just gorge out on the couch and not do anything. And it actually, right, that's an extreme case. And I'm sure there's people that struggle with that side of it too. But really, it just comes down to all of the other emotions that you feel. How do you get past those emotions? And a lot of times it comes in you self-soothing or comforting yourself.
Yes.
And that's how we get that term comfort food, is because there's a certain aspect of food and the things that we put in our body that comforts us for a short period of time.
Yes.
Right. And that's what we have to learn. It's for a short period of time, but is that doing the best things for our body, for our health, for our energy? The answer to that question is typically no. Right? Because that McDonald's, that fried food.
It's the salt, it's the sugar. You know what I mean? It has
the same addictive it has the same traits that allow you to be addictive. Sugar does, just like a drug.
Yeah.
Just like, you know,
even more so than some drugs. Like sugar's more addicting, and I think they say like crack. You know, if my memory serves me correctly,
it does the same things to your brain. The same things that crack would do to your brain, sugar does to your brain, and that's why, as a society, we actually are addicted to food. We're actually addicted, and we don't know. And you don't know this until you start taking food away.
Yeah,
that's been my journey over and now it's been a month and a half, maybe 2 months or so that I've been doing some different things, because again, I got different information. Once I got different information, I could now understand things a bit differently. And you know, I have a health coach because I believe in accountability. I believe in the reason why it's frustrating, T, is because typically we're not accountable to anyone. So we just go through it. When our brain gets to that place where we're like, I'm going to slow down, or this whole thing just collapsed in my world. So I have to go focus on this. So I'm not going to focus on health right now. That's our brain telling us that. And we have no one to keep us accountable. So that's why we do the yo-yo, the up and down type thing.
Yeah, it's accountability. And I think also, you got to have account. You got to first have the right information, right? But sometimes you don't know what you don't know, right? And I do believe that there's a lot of information out there, but if you understood, like, very simple, more calories out than in, right?
It's a basic formula, right?
It's a pretty simple formula.
Put less things in your mouth and exercise more.
Yes.
Move your body more, put less in your mouth.
That's it, right? Like, and then if you don't exercise a lot, less things should go in, right? And then just be mindful. And so that kind of leads to like what's been really easy for me, like I said, because I felt like I was eating myself. Like I would train, work out, have, you know, all of that, but then I would like just overeat it, right? Like I was like, oh man, well, you know, I went hard in the gym for an hour. I can have this cookie now.
I deserve this 4-course meal.
I got it now. Like I got the calorie room for it. You hardly ever do, right? Like I'm just, you know, being frank with people. So what was really easy, like really simple for me, and I liked it a lot because I like things simplified. Like I'm like that kind of guy. Like, how can we make this simple? Like super simple where a baby can understand it, right? And so I got on the program Noom. Noom, and it's simply an app that you're able to track your food, and you're able to track your like training and all kinds of stuff. And there's a whole community around it. There's 50 million plus people that signed up since the app started in 2013. And the thing I like about Noom, and this is not like, we're not like paid by them, so this is just my personal like my thing, right? Like, this would be the time Noom pays us for this content, right? They don't yet, right? One day we'll see. But I like it because it's simple. When it comes down to food, it's green. Is it a green food, which is less dense food? Yellow, which is moderate density, and red, which is high dense food. And now the beautiful thing I like about it is you can eat all of them every day, right? Like you see your little chart and it says green, unlimited. Yellow, you should only have about this many calories. Red, you only have this many calories. And the thing I like about that is as I'm going through sometimes those emotional journeys throughout the day, like you can't always stand in front of the train of your emotions, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm just using that for an example. So sometimes you got to have some pressure relief valves, right? It's like, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to eat the bag of cookies, but I'll have a cookie, right? Like I'll have this. And so it builds that in there as you're going through this journey of learning about yourself and the psychology that's around in your head around food and around exercise and around this. And so a lot of times these other programs, it's like, stop, you know, like drop, set it down, like, you know, open up a different shop in honor of DMX, you know what I mean? And that hurts, because what it does is people aren't ready yet. Right? Like I was in this training and they talked about how you do a training and you go from a safe place in the training, if you're training a class, to an unsafe place. But a lot of times people go straight to unsafe. And that's what happens with these diets. They go straight to unsafe. People aren't ready. They don't know. They don't have any pressure release valves. And then they're supposed to will their way through something they've been struggling with 13 years with. Like, that's not going to happen at all. And so I really like the program because it simplifies food. Like I was at training. and they had these brownies, right? And that, mind you, at this point, I haven't been eating a lot of sweets, like very, very little bit of sweets. But that brownie looked really good on Friday. It was the end of it. And they had these other little trail mix snacks. Now, the trail mix snacks are red. They were red on my list. So they had the peanut, the M&Ms and stuff in there. And I see this brownie. And so I had the trail mix because I was like ready to snack before lunch. And I put it down and I went back for the brownie for lunch. I was like, all right, I know I got some red in my space here. This is gonna be what I'm gonna use it on. And so the lady, she's like, hey, take two. I was like, mm-mm. I was like, I was like, I said, I went hungry from another snack to have this brownie today. And she was cracking up laughing. Yeah. But 30 days ago, I would have ate both.
You wouldn't have had that self-control, yeah.
It was the information was like in the back of my head. I'm like, okay, better choice. And then I'm realizing what's triggering and what to do. And that's the beautiful thing I like about Noom. It gets you there because this is the game you're fighting. The body is a result of what's up here anyway. I mean, that's my thoughts. What's your thoughts on that?
We had just talked about that. Like the reason why the health journey is so difficult for most people is because it's a mental journey.
Yes.
Just like everything else. Here's what, I'm super passionate about this because we don't understand how much our mind is messing with everything else in our life.
Yep.
Your mind controls your financial habits, your health habits, what you think about your family and your relationships. Like everything is up here. That's why if you change your thinking, you change your life. If you change your information, you change the way that information gets processed, how you take it in. So again, for me, this health journey has been more about information of me understanding like, oh, okay, like here's something most people don't know, right? Like, and again, me learning all this stuff over the past 2 months or so has just been eye-opening, but that's what allows me to know that this is my journey. Like I'm going to go down this path forever, because once you learn something, it's not like you can like unsee it. It's not like you can take it out.
Ideas don't die.
Yeah, right. Like I know this is the case. And then when you support it with other information and books and all types of stuff that you start to see, it changes the way that you think, right? Our entire food system is completely wrong. It's completely backwards. The information that they've given us from the food pyramid to other things, it's not correct. It's just not right.
Yeah.
And we've gone through to this place of listening and being bombarded with messages of like what's healthy, what's not healthy, all these things, when at the end of the day, it can be very, very, very basic for how you should technically be able to consume. And that's the word, right? My health coach, Kobe, he always talks about, this is about consumption.
Yeah.
Anywhere you can use that word consumption, that is how it's going to apply. It's not just like what you're putting, it's what are you consuming? What is it that you're choosing to put in? And so my health journey, I did go extreme, and you know me, T, and hopefully you listeners are getting to know me a bunch. Like I'm an extreme person. There are things that are black and white. My wife likes to be like, there's a gray area. Like I get it. Some things are gray, but there's some things that are black and white, right? And so when you understand, let me just give you this analogy for your brownie. When you understand what that brownie does inside of your body and how it cannot break down and how it sits there, and right, how the average person has like, your colon's supposed to be like this big. It's not even supposed to be that big. And the reason why most of us, like it has like a muscle in there that's supposed to like tighten and open and tighten. That's how it punches things through. But because of the amount of food we've been piling in there, our colon spreads. And everyone has like this, like colons this size. That's how we get bigger bellies. That's why when you get older, you see people's bellies pop out. It's not because they're just like naturally like eating all the wrong stuff. It's because their colon is so big because their body is not functioning the way that it should. The food that you're putting in is just compacting. It's actually not coming out. Most people have like, I think I saw some people have like 30 pounds of poop inside of them that's not coming out, and it calcifies, it gets hard, it stops your body from functioning the way that it should. And that's what leads to disease. That's what leads to sickness. That's why 1 in 3 people get cancer and all these different types of things. It's because we have so much toxicity in our body, and from the outside, it doesn't look like, because we're doing what everyone else is telling us to do. It doesn't look like that's the case. But that's exactly what's happening. So I went on, I was supposed to go on a 30-day solid food vacation where it's basically just juices, whether it's green juice, fruit juices, it's just basically juice. So you get all your macronutrients, right? You get all the nutrients that your body actually needs, but you start to understand that what you're feeling in your stomach is just the body trying to fight what it's used to having. And it's not,
it's breaking an addiction.
Yeah,
it's breaking an addiction.
It's literally like withdrawal symptoms. Like my experience, I did it for 5 days, and day 6 I broke. And to go back to our conversation, it was 100% mental. And I was talking with my coach through it, because the things that would pop up, like I said, you don't know you're addicted to something till you try to take it away completely.
Correct.
Once you try to take it away and you see how your body and your mind react, my mind, T, was literally going to a place on day 5 where I was saying, this is stupid. Why would I do this? I'm a chef. I grew up in the restaurant world. How could I ever think I wouldn't eat food? This doesn't make sense. That was my mind telling me those things. And none of that stuff was true. None of it was true. It was just all my mind. And I had to reevaluate and listen, like, man, like, I really am addicted to this food. Like I really want this stuff. And right, that's when you start to give into your flesh. And then all of a sudden you see, man, this is a mental game.
Yeah.
And that's why people, go up and down in all their stuff, is because they're not mentally prepared for what they're going to go through.
Yeah. And I think, and so when you talk about that, there is a process also of how to become more mentally strong. Right. And I think that's the missing, because you'll talk to people and they're like, all right, I get it. Like, all right, Chris, I get that. Right. Or Terell or whatnot. But people haven't learned how to be mentally tough either. Exactly. And I think we even have a bad definition for what mentally tough is. Right. Like, and I think, and part of that is the problem. And I'll be the first to say, like, I'm even I just, finished a book called Think Again. And by Anna Gant. And it was and the whole book was literally about how to literally think again, like how to unlearn something and being willing to be open to change. And I'll be the first to say, I'm unlearning what mental toughness is, right? Like, I think we've seen it modeled in some ways, and I think we've seen it modeled and called mental tough, but it might not have actually been, right? Like, you know what I mean? And I think we have to get to a place for even ourselves, right? Like, okay, hold on. Maybe there is not a definitive black and white right now for me, because I need to, as I'm going along this journey, I don't know what I don't know, right? So what can I do along this journey as I'm learning me? And it really is about deep diving in you. See, we're having a health conversation, but we're really talking about mental health. We're really talking about mental health, because this thing is just following whatever you tell it to do. Like right now, I thought about putting on my right arm, putting on my left arm, right? You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, my arm didn't just do it. Like, you know what I mean?
And here's the scariest part, because this goes into that mental health on the real side of how our brain works. We have a subconscious mind and we have a conscious mind. The subconscious mind does not know the difference between something that's real and something that's not real. It actually doesn't know. So what we've been programmed with in our subconscious mind oftentimes is the thing that is running our life. I think I read something that says like 98% of what we do is habit. Right? It's habit. And the way habit gets in is subconscious mind, what we see, what we do over and over again. So when we try to break that, when we try to do something different, it's so left field. It's such a change. Our subconscious mind, we have to go to work reprogramming it first. Before we can actually like see those things manifest,
and do it, right? And and sometimes that does involve, like, so there's the mental aspect of it, like you're saying. Then there's some times where you got to just go challenge yourself, right? Like, you just got to say, all right, I'm going to go do heat. Like, so for example, I typically do cardio first, like just in my workouts. I usually do cardio and then weights, right? Like, that's typically my workout, or I'll have a long cardio day, and that'll be it. So as I'm going through this, I'm like, I need to go, like, can I push harder? So it was a long day at work. I was in training and I went hard, like 20 minutes hard on the, cardio, right? Like I was like, got my heart rate up. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to another cardio machine and I'm gonna go hard again. and I said, but I'm still doing my weights. So my brain was like, oh, bruh, like, man, what we about to do? Like, we just did cardio. We went hard already. It's time to go do the weights. Yeah. And guess what happened? When I'm on the second one and I'm pushing hard, right? I'm going, like I'm running. And then my brain started saying, all right, I remember thinking to myself, it was so crazy. It was like, all right, we're going to get through this workout today, but we're going to take tomorrow off. Literally, like in my head, I was already like, I'm working out enough for 2 days. And I had to literally get to a point of go, tomorrow is tomorrow. I'm not dealing with tomorrow today, right? I'm dealing with right now, and we're going to bust our butt and get through this today. And I did. I went through that. Then I did my weights and I was burnt because I was exhausted. And then tomorrow came and I got up before the sun came up and I did it again. And what that showed me was, it's like, holy crap, there's another gear. Like, you get to this point, and I think you kind of referenced it earlier, when people get to 40, 50, 60, they assume things are supposed to slow down. Right. They assume this should look like this, or it's okay for those things to happen. Right. But there's another gear that we have as creators. We talk about that all the time, like in our creation and who we are. I'm a big believer in the word of God, and it says that we're made after the image of God. So there is limitless possibilities with this. Right. And when you start tapping in and seeing you can go, that stuff gets contagious. I started seeing myself do a little bit more at work, and I'm a hardworking dude. Like I max out. And I found out that my max wasn't my max. Yeah. There was another gear. And when you start seeing that with yourself, you don't need motivation anymore, because your subconscious mind, to your point, is running on, there's more. And then you got more in the tank.
And then even on top of that, and then you do the habits that reinforce.
That's what I'm saying. Then you're doing it. You're seeing it. That subconscious mind says, you got it.
That's it.
When you can get your subconscious mind to say, nope, I can go again. Nope, that is an obligation. I'm going to stick to it. Nope. And that's your subconscious mind at that point. You become unstoppable. And that's kind of to that point with the whole brownie. I would have never said no and to have this and only that. It would have been yes to that, and then later on, when I'm stressed or happy, right? It goes either way. It's not like I only eat when I'm stressed. Like when I'm really happy about something, I want something. I want food. Like, you know what I mean? Like if we're sitting down, don't let the Lakers win a championship or win a game. I'm like, yo, where the chicken wings at? But I realize it's these extreme emotions. I validate them with food. Yeah. And you got to know yourself. If anybody's getting anything from this, get your mental game right. Now somebody's gonna say how. There's programs and apps like I use Noom, right? And I have a coach in there, very sporadic. That's one way, right? If it works for you. Chris has a direct coach he talks to, communicates to, may get around. I'm not sure how that works in COVID, but like the goal is there's an accountability, there's new information, and there's you going past what you thought was possible, and you taking inventory of what you're learning, and then going back and having the courage. Chris, man, I remember somebody used to say, I think it was Grant Cardone, he said it takes courage to make money, and I never understood that.
Yeah.
I never understood that.
I say it all the time, because that old saying, it doesn't take money to make money. It takes
courage, right? And I was like, okay, and I logically understood the words that were coming out of his mouth, but I'm realizing now in life, it takes courage. It takes courage to push your body to the max and then say, I'm going to come do it again tomorrow. Mm-hmm. That's courageous. Mm-hmm. It takes courage to say, I'm going to break my sugar addiction. Like that's courage. Like, you know what I mean? In the face of it, it's courage to say, I'm going to be a different person, and I'm not accepting no for an answer from myself. That is one of the most courageous things. And now I understand, such a deeper way. In a lot of ways, you can be very successful in this life because most people are not courageous.
Absolutely.
They're not courageous.
That is the point. Most people
are not courageous.
They seek comfort.
Comfort, the other C word, And, in this training I was just in, they talk about it, they wrote on the board, power equals responsibility. And I was like, okay. And they were like, you want more power? Like they're talking about being a leader, having more, growing in your position or whatever. They were like, take more responsibility. They're like, but you gotta be courageous to be willing to pick up more. You gotta be courageous to take on. And they said, but here goes the key. While it's not easy, they said everybody's giving up their responsibility. So everybody's giving up their power. It's all over the place to pick up. Absolutely. And I know this isn't a competition necessarily against me or you. Mm-hmm. However, we know we're like, your body is your own competition. That's you, right? Unless you're competing professionally or something where you're using your body, that's one thing, right? Yeah. However, when it comes down to, like you said, business and at work or whatnot, or at, whatever it is, something that you're competing, be courageous and it'll change everything. Absolutely. And it's the same thing even with our bodies. Do we have the courage to change? My accountability partner, know who it is? I made it my son. Because it's deep for me to try to live a good example, right? Like I could talk off you, Chris. I could talk off somebody else. Not really talk off, but I can justify in my mind. Sure. I can't justify it to him, right? Like you see, these are where you're finding this is where you go gray to find your black or whites in moments. I can't justify to him. And he was like, oh, for real? And I said, yeah, and I'm trying to do it by my birthday. This is where I'm trying to get to by my birthday. And he was just like, check, you can see it. Yeah. And so he's watching now. He's watching. Yeah. And I'm accountable now to showing him like, hey, bro, this is what it takes to do anything. You got to have the courage. Like I never made my son an accountability partner. I was too scared to because I knew I was on the roller coaster and I didn't want to let him down.
Right. You knew he was going to hold you to it.
I didn't want to let him down. Yeah. That's like, that was courage for me.
Yeah.
And it could be that simple. And so hopefully you guys are seeing you can do this 100 different ways.
But it's huge. I mean, let's stay on that point, courage, for a second, because we started this conversation talking about our health journey. It takes courage to go on any type of journey.
Yes.
Any journey. If you're going to look at it like, all right, I'm doing this for the long haul, right? Somebody asked me that question, like I said, when I started the juice feast, and somebody asked me like, why are you doing this? Right? Yeah. Because like most people do their stuff when they get sick, when something crazy happens, they're like, oh, I need to change my life. And then they go change it. I'm proactive. I'm like, I'm 35. I got down on the floor like 2 months ago and I heard my knees crack and I was like, this isn't where I want to be. Like, I'm an athlete, right? Like my mind was getting to that place of like, I'm not like, this isn't going to play out the right way. So let me just be proactive to this. I'm not doing this. Yes, I'd like to lose weight, but I'm not doing this just to lose some weight. I'm not doing this just to put on some muscle or just to have a summer body. I'm trying to live till I'm 100, right? I'm trying to have energy and vitality when I'm 85, right? I'm trying to make sure that I see my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. I'm trying to make sure that like, I'm not having a heart attack at 40, right? Like all the things that like we know is probably coming up. Like I'm trying to not have that happen. So I'm gonna change my complete lifestyle. How you choose to change your lifestyle, right? Some people go extreme, some people, pitter patter and kind of get to that point. Like, I'm like, all right, let me go all in. And then let me learn, like you said, take inventory of what's happening, of what I'm feeling. Now I know, now I'm aware. I have an addiction. I have an addiction to food. Okay. I didn't know that before. I knew it was a problem. I knew it was something I wasn't paying attention to, but now serious talk, I have an addiction to food. And now I'm at that baseline to understand, okay, my journey becomes breaking this addiction for the rest of my life. Like however this is going to turn out, my eating, my body will become better, right? Like a startling fact, again, my health coach told me this. He was like, our bodies are meant to rejuvenate. Like they're meant to replenish your cells and right, clean out your liver and
replace your cells.
Replace yourself. Like that's what your body's meant to do. But our bodies now in our society, 80 to 90% of your energy is going to just breaking down food. That is where the energy in your body is going. 80 to 90% of your energy is just literally trying to push down the food that you're putting in. So that's why it can't, your body has no energy to rejuvenate cells and clean the liver and do all the things that it's actually meant to do. We're not meant to have medications and all, like everything that God gave us from the earth is what we need to, but we've put contaminants in our body just by what we've heard, what we've seen, what's been acceptable to us. We've put it in. So there has to be a process of cleaning that out and then starting to live a healthier, more thoughtful life about what we're consuming. Right. Not that, and you know, I've talked to my coach about it. It's not that I'll never eat these things ever again, but you'll see a stark difference from what you put in to then how your body responds to it, how you feel, your energy levels, right? Like what's happening in your digestion. All these things all come into play, and that takes courage.
That takes courage,
it takes so much courage to be like, man, I'm not doing the right thing. I have to go this way, right? Complete 180. Like, let's just go the other direction. You were going this way. Now let's go this way. And this is going to make things better. Most people, don't have or won't put themselves to the place where they're forced to do something that's painful, that, you know, they have to sacrifice something for. They just want to live in comfort. You know, I could take this to the old employee entrepreneur conversation, right? When the reason why Grant Cardone says, hey, it takes courage to make money, it's because when you branch out and you say, I'm going to go create the life that I want on my own merit, just on me and my connections and the people I know and my abilities and my thoughts, right? My marketing plan, my ideas, I'm going to go out and do that for me. That takes so much courage. Just be like, I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be on me. It's me and God. That's it.
That's it.
Right? Like that's it. Courage. That's actually what it takes, but it's for all these journeys, you know?
And I want to also point out, right? Like, so people understand and we don't like get lost in the sauce. Like, cause like for me, it's like, dang, I'm starting over again. You're already on this journey. like no, because you know sometimes you're like, not you, but like we say and we hear people say start this journey like they're starting, like they're now they got to start at going to a start line again of the race. When you were born, the journey started. So you don't have to worry about starting over again. You already are down the road. Even like for me, like this really had to help me, and I hope it helps somebody else. When I realized, I've been yo-yoing, right, for 10 years, right, in my mind, right? Like, you know, it's been better in peaks and valleys, whatever, but it's been a yo-yo. When I realized, hey, I'm 10 years down the road, it felt horrible when it was like, now I'm starting over again, until I realized, hold up, I had just had 10 years of lessons.
Right.
I am not the guy that I am 10 years ago, starting, but I'm not starting. Like you feel what I'm saying? Like I'm 10 years actually down the road. Now, am I, let's call it, maybe I should have been 10 miles down the road, but I'm only 2 miles down the road. But guess what? I'm 2 miles down the road.
That's it. You're further than where you started.
I'm further than where I started because I got new information, right? Like, you know, Dr. Miles Monroe, the late great Dr. Miles Monroe, he always used to say, he said, the only way to get rid of an idea is with a new one. It's like, you can't get rid of an idea until you replace it with a new idea.
Right.
And that's kind of what you're talking about, right? Like, you know, some of the things that you said. So with that being said, I got a new idea to say, okay, maybe I should have been at 10, but you know what? Then I even had to say, but who said I was supposed to be there? Now, did I deliberately say I was supposed to? Okay, I let myself down. But maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm looking around at society. Maybe I'm judging myself based on somebody else and where they are in their health journey. No, you need to define what it is for you and what you want and go. right? Like, you know what I mean? And you define your points where you'll look back and say, oh shoot, I did that. Okay, it's been 10 years. Oh, I did that. And it's been 3 months or whatever it is. And we can do a whole nother episode on goal setting and properly the psychology around that. But you are already on the journey. You're not starting over. There's no start over. Like the only way you want to start over, you go back into your mother's womb. We all know that's not possible, right?
Right.
So
That's
you're
right.
already on the journey. The fact that you're here listening to this podcast and you're probably feeling like, dang, I know that, then you're already better than you were before.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's like, okay, let's fill up the holes. Let's plug the holes on that boat, right? Let's plug up some of those holes. And you're not going to plug them up all at one time.
Exactly.
You're not going to plug them up. For me, I needed something simple to box me in with food.
Mm-hmm.
Noom did that. Green food Terell, yellow food Terell, red food Terell.
And it's funny because that's the same thing with me, right? Like once I understood, okay, you know, fruit, my box, fruit before noon, because fruit is the only thing that passes through the stomach. Mm-hmm. And actually you just get directly all of the nutrients. So if you do it on an empty stomach and you just eat fruit and you just get the nutrients from it, it won't have to break down as much in your body. Then anything that I can do that is as clean as possible, that is how I start to look at my days, whether it be bone broth, whether it be salads that are very clean, like with, you know, just lemon and olive oil and right, like basic veggies on that side. And I can always go back to just continuing to juice. Again, I was juicing, you know, you can have your green juices, you can have your fruit juices, carrot apple juice mix, right? There's a lot of different things that it'll give you the nutrients that you need. You don't necessarily need to be full. What I'm learning is an empty stomach is a healthy stomach. We overconsume in this country. It's not actually what we're supposed to do. We're never supposed to eat until we're full. We're supposed to, right? We're supposed to have an empty stomach. This is why intermittent fasting actually is something that can be good for your body, because it gives your body that time to digest and break things down, and then use that energy going to work on the other parts of your body that it needs to help. And it only is breaking down so much. So that becomes like my box. And, you know, I get very extreme, like, all right, well, let's just knock this out for as long, because now that I know this is a mindset thing, this becomes, it's no longer like, oh, I really think I'm gonna die, or oh, I really think I'm gonna like eat myself. You know what I mean? It's not even that serious. So I'm like, oh, this is just in my mind. So now what I've done is I now go to work on my mind, because I have worked on my mind. I know we were talking about right, redefining mental toughness and mental strength. Right, my foundation, just like UT, right, comes in the Word of God, right, and that becomes foundational. So whenever my mind is a little bit off, I go back to the foundation, which is I spend more time reading the Word. I spend more time with God, because that is what then gets me to transform, renew my mind. And then all of a sudden I'm better in my health and I'm better in my finances. Like all of it starts to come to play. But I had to learn that as the entrepreneur, back to right, why this entrepreneur mindset for me is so important. I would have never learned this. I would have never learned that my anchor actually is the Word of God. I would have never learned that had I not gone through a bunch of crazy stuff in business and not making money and right, all these things. And I'm lost and searching and figuring out, because I went out and had that courage to say, it's just me and you, God, like I'm gonna figure this thing out. And then all of a sudden I fail. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I got to turn to God. And then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I've been your foundation the whole time. It's like, So now when I'm on a health journey and I'm like, man, this is really tough. I can't do this. I'm supposed to. I
got a foundation. It's
not
me.
Foundation. It's not me. I got to go back over here. And now I can go through it. So you see how all these things just tie together, right? All these things just tie together. They go hand in hand, but it's 100% about you learning who you are, what you're doing, how you're able to do it, how you're able to move forward. And then again, important, having a vision, right? Having a vision of where you want to be. It's important. It's important. So I think we'll get wrapped up. I know families around.
Little man running up.
Little man running around. But give some of your final points, T, on just like why this health journey is important, what you want people to get out of it. What do you think people should be focused on if they're going down a health journey? How are you thinking of it?
again, I think, we said a lot, and hopefully, people are picking it up, and we're trying to give different perspectives, right? Like, Chris is someone that's like, I'm all in, right? I'm, at this place where I'm at, because I have so many transitions, I'm like, okay, I'm like, all right, my brain is like overload, and I've been there before. And then I break off. So I'm like, no, how do I stay in the game? And I simplify the game for myself. Right. And so there's different ways to get to this place. But I tell you one thing, if Chris stays courageous and disciplined, next year on April 18th, April 18th, 2022, you're going to see a different physical person, like, in appearance. Myself the same way. We'll both get there, right? And that's the thing. You can get wherever you want to be. You just have to have the courage to start, if you will, if you never started, courage to keep going, and just keep. I want to use the word discipline, but so many people get like frustrated with that. We can go into that later. But the courage, I'll leave it at courage. Every day you get up, and you go out to your day, and you eat something different or better or whatnot. You had courage. You had courage to change your life in that moment. You had courage every time you go to the gym, and you need to applaud yourself, not with more ice cream and cookies and stuff like I used to do, right?
Give yourself a different reward.
Give yourself a different reward. So, but that's what I got. Continue to be courageous every day. Just look down at that plate when you got that beautiful salad, or you got that juice, or you just got done working out. You was like, I was courageous today. And that will build in your subconscious mind of, I'm a courageous person. And you'll be surprised. You'll be on a health journey, and this thing spill over into your marriage, relationships, over into your work, your business, and everything else. And you didn't even mean for it to, but because you're becoming a different you, it happened. So that's the last little piece of, I guess, encouraging word I got for the people today.
That's huge. And for everyone listening, like, take heed to that. Understand this thing takes courage, but it will spill into all the areas of your life. It'll spill into all the areas of your life, and you will get better. The thing that I'll leave you with, right? I've said this before. I might have even said it on an earlier podcast with us, but there's two ways that we're motivated. Typically, it's by the carrot or by the stick. Right. So if you think of the donkey, right, you're riding the donkey, you put the carrot out in front of it, because that's the thing that he's like, oh, I got to get that carrot. I got to get that carrot. And then the back end of the carrot is on a stick. So if he's not moving fast enough, you whip him, right? Like, there's a consequence. So in our, in that analogy, we have consequences that motivate us, and then we have the vision that motivates us. In this health journey, I really think you need both. Right. I really think you need both. You need to have a vision of where you're going. You need to have the carrot, right? Like I said, my carrot just happens to be further out than most people. I'm trying to live till I'm trying to have energy when I'm 85. Yeah. I'm trying to be 90. Right. I think that way. That's just that my carrot is all the way out there. Yeah. I'm already building wealth to some degree. So I want to be able to enjoy it for really long periods of time.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so that is my idea. That's my carrot. But the stick is, when I eat that thing that I'm not supposed to, that I don't want to, that I know is just my brain or my flesh saying this is what you want, what's the consequence? And then I feed myself the consequences. I'm going to disappoint myself, right? I'm going to mentally beat myself up for a bit. So I have to overcome that. My body might be a little sluggish. I might get bloated. Then I have to give myself the other side. So in this health journey, you have to be able to do both. You have to say, hey, that's where I want to be. So I'm going to keep doing everything in my power to get there. But also I know if I slip up, if I don't do it properly, these are the consequences, right? The consequences are I'm going to feel like crap. I'm more susceptible to having a heart attack. I'm more susceptible to not mentally being right. Like, I start giving myself both sides, and then it helps me continue to stay on that path, even on the days I don't want to.
Yeah.
Even on the days I don't want to. Because like I said, I started the solid food vacation. It was very difficult. In my mind, I wasn't necessarily fully prepared to know what I was going to see. Then I went off it, but I didn't go back to fried foods and a bunch of stuff. Like, I just kind of took a step back. Oh, I need to eat something. Right. And so I ate some things. I got a little bit cleaner. And now I'm about to go right back and step right back into it in this next week, actually. Going to go right back into the solid food vacation, because I know it's all mental. And now, like I said, I have some other things. So you just need both sides, guys.
Yeah.
You need both sides.
Yeah.
In order to be good.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's it, man.
Yeah.
That's it. I think we hit it.
I think so too. Hopefully you guys all got something out of it. Like always, we'll leave you with a quick question, right? Like, what's been the toughest thing on your health journey? If you are on a health journey, because again, the day you were born, you started a journey, whether you're focused on it or not, right? You're on a journey. So have there been wins? What have been some struggles in your own personal health journey? What have you seen? We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to get your perspective. Again, feel free to hit T and I up on social, anywhere you can find us, or just leave some comments here on the YouTube or anywhere that you can leave a comment, because we want to hear your perspective. We want you to get over the hump. We want you to have courage. We want you to really feel great about your life. And this health journey is definitely one of those areas that you got to focus on. So tell us a little bit about your journey. We'd love to hear it. But until then, we're going to sign off, T.
Peace up. A-tail down.
There we go. For sure. Hey, we're gonna make it a great week, guys. God bless you. We'll see you next week.
All right, y'all.
Later. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Perspective Podcast. We hope this conversation made you think a bit deeper, gain some insight, or even possibly gain a brand new perspective. If you did enjoy it, do us a favor, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Music, Spotify, Anchor, or anywhere else you stream. Leave a review to help more people experience these conversations and potentially change their perspective as well. And lastly, as always, T and I want you to connect with us. So follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. You can find us just by using our names. And there we get a chance to hear your perspective. Until next time, God bless.